In this video, we're going to set up PHP working environment on Ubuntu virtual private server and install Laravel with custom domain and SSL certificates. The most interesting part is that I'm going to use ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give me instructions how to do all the things. If you don't know what is ChatGPT, that's a new generation artificial intelligence based chatbot powered by OpenAI, which knows almost everything and answers your questions surprisingly and amazingly well. There are more videos coming on this channel around ChatGPT, so if you're interested, hit the subscribe button and enable notifications so that don't miss any videos. I already know the instructions I will need to set up everything, install the working environment, as well as install the project and SSL certificates. But let's ask ChatGPT how I can do all these things. Go to chat.openai.com and then you have to log in or sign up, and then you will be redirected to the following page. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT how to set up LAMP stack on Ubuntu and install Laravel project. I want to set up virtual hosts and install SSL certificates as well. Let's see what ChatGPT can do. And as we see, it already started generating response. Until this generates response, let me talk about today's sponsor, which is Hostinger. We need some kind of hosting to host our project on virtual private server. Hostinger is my choice of hosting provider. I have been using Hostinger services for about past 2 years, even before we became partners. They provide shared hosting, cloud hosting, VPS hosting. Their prices are really affordable and their servers are pretty powerful. Let's see what ChatGPT is doing. Look at this. So it generates all kind of steps, what we need to do. I'm really curious if we follow those steps, if we can basically set up our working environment and install project without any errors. Speaking about the Hostinger, if you want to get started with Hostinger and follow with me and set up your project and deploy on custom domain, check the website hostinger.com/thecodeholic. Check their services, check their prices, and if you decide to take the hosting with them, use the coupon code thecodeholic, which will give you an additional 10% discount. If you want to see a tutorial how to deploy Laravel application on shared hosting, which has even lower price than VPS hosting, then check the video which will be in the top right corner of the screen. So here we have all the response from ChatGPT. That looks really nice. Everything starts with the apt-get update with the sudo, and then we install Apache 2, MySQL Server, PHP, and lib Apache 2, mode PHP, and PHP MySQL. Everything looks correct. Then we have to start Apache and MySQL, then we configure the PHP, then we set up the virtual hosts. This is amazing. This is exactly what I have in my head and what I basically plan to do on the server, what I was planning to do before I say this. Okay, that's amazing. However, we are not going to create new composer project. We're going to clone an existing project. Here's my Hostinger H panel. If you decide to take the hosting with the Hostinger, you will be, when you sign up and just make payment, you will be redirected to the following H panel. From here, you can take your hosting, manage your domains, and everything basically you might need. At the moment, we're going to set up VPS. So I have a VPS plan right here, and let's click Setup. Start now. We're going to choose a location, and I'm going to choose location which is close to me, and that's going to be Singapore in my case. Click continue. Right here we have a couple of options. We can use an OS with a control panel or plain OS. So this is for more experienced users where we need to run all the command line tools. And we're going to choose this select plain OS. And I'm going to try to choose a different operating system. I want the latest version of Ubuntu, which is 22. Click on select, then continue. At this point, we're going to give the name to our virtual private server. And I'm going to call the Laravel example.net. That's going to be the server name. As for the root password, we're going to set something very secure. Then we're going to need an SSH key. If you don't know what's an SSH key, you can skip that section. It is an optional. I'm going to click save and continue. And just like this, I have the summary and I click finish setup. Okay, so here is our server ready. Let's click manage server. Here's our VPS server. We have the overall information. We can have a look at the server usage, make snapshots and backups, and we can even reset the operating system from this section. We can get the IP address of the server from this place, and if we want to access to the server and install everything, and this is exactly what we want, we need to use an SSH command for that. I'm going to click copy right here to copy the SSH command, and I'm going to open PowerShell. If you're a Windows user, you can use PowerShell. PowerShell supports SSH, so it's also an SSH client. If you're a Linux or macOS user, your terminal basically will probably support SSH. So we just need to type right here SSH root. Root is the user, and we're going to connect to the following server, and I'm going to hit enter right here. If you are accessing this the very first time, it's going to probably ask you, well, we want to accept the fingerprint or not. I'm going to type yes right here, and then it will ask me the password of my server. I'm going to type my password and hit the enter, and now I am inside the Ubuntu server. First, we have to update the server by executing sudo apt update. If you took the VPS server on Hostinger, quite probably it will already have Apache up and running. We can check this by executing sudo service apache to status. And we have active and running. But if you don't see the screen active and running, we need to install Apache by executing sudo apt install apache 2 and hit the enter. We have to accept if it asks you yes or no, and then we need to allow inside the firewall to access to the server on Apache's port. So we need to execute sudo ufw allow, and inside quotes we need Apache full, and hit the enter. If you get the following message, ufw command not found, first we have to install ufw. So we're gonna execute sudo apt install ufw, hit the enter. And then we can execute sudo ufw allow apache full. And rules have been updated, so now from outside we will be able to access to the server using IP. Because we have Apache already installed and also firewall rules are updated, we can open the browser, give the IP address, open new tab, and type the IP, and we should see Apache's default page. Now let's install PHP and let's have a look at the ChatGPT, what it gave us around installing the PHP. So it gave us the following command, which installs MySQL PHP and the libapache 2 mod PHP. But look at this. So it only installs PHP and PHP MySQL extension. It does not install anything else. But quite probably your Laravel application will need other PHP extensions such as PHP DOM or PHP CURL. Maybe you use image processing as well and you need PHP GD. So we have to install those packages. I'm going to now open PowerShell. Instead of typing all these packages, I'm going to copy and paste and explain right here. So we're installing PHP libapache 2 mod PHP and the following extensions: mbstring, GD, XML, CLI, zip, JSON CURL, and Intel. So I'm going to hit enter right here, and then we have to accept this, and it will install the following PHP packages. Now let's test if PHP is actually successfully installed. I'm going to create test PHP under var www.html folder, hit the enter, and right here I'm just going to create PHP info. I'm going to save this using Ctrl and O and Ctrl and X to quit basically, and then let's open the server, open our URL, and just type test.php right here. Okay, so we have the PHP version right here, which proves that we have PHP up and running. Now we need to install MySQL. Let's bring up the PowerShell or any kind of SSH terminal, and I'm going to type sudo apt install mysql-server. Hit the enter. While this is installing, if we have a look in the ChatGPT, what it suggested regarding MySQL. So it has actually told us the exact same thing to install the MySQL server. However, it did not give us instruction to apply MySQL secure installation, which is something, in my opinion, very necessary to do. And if we would ask like furthermore questions like, I want MySQL secure installation or something like this, it would probably give us the whole instructions what we need to do. But again, if you know what to do, I think there is no need to ask to ChatGPT, but definitely if you know how to ask, it can help you. It can help you a lot. First, I'm going to set the root password, and then I'm going to run MySQL secure installation. To set the root password, we need to access MySQL. I'm going to type sudo MySQL and hit the enter. Now we are inside MySQL, and instead of typing the alter user, I'm just gonna copy and paste the following command: alter user root at localhost. So I want to change the following user and identified with the MySQL native password, and then right here, I'm going to set my password. You should set your password to be something very secure, but for simplicity, I'm going to set something from 1 to 6 at the moment. And then I'm going to exit from here. And now I'm going to run sudo MySQL secure installation. Now I have to enter the password for the current root user. This is from 1 to 6 in my case. And then it asks me if I want to validate, if I want to enable my password validation plugin. I'm going to set this no, I don't want that. Now it asks me if I want to change the password for the root user. I'm going to type no right here as well. By default, MySQL installation has an anonymous user, and it asks me if I want to keep or remove it, and I want to remove the anonymous user. And the next question is if we want to disable remote login for the root user. For security reasons, this is something you must do. You don't want someone else to access to your database using root server from somewhere else, so disable root login remotely. The answer is yes. And the next question is if we want to remove the test database and access to that, and I'm going to type yes right here as well. And I guess the final question is if we want to reload privileges table right now, the answer is yes again. And all is done. Now we have MySQL installed securely on our server. Now I want to create database, and then I can use that database in my Laravel application. Here's what I did. I asked ChatGPT, create MySQL user, create MySQL database, and grant user access to the database. And it started the explanation how to connect to the MySQL, how to create the user, and how then I stopped it. Okay, just give me code, no explanations. And then here's what it gave me. And this is amazing. It understands everything what I ask and gives me the proper answers. So in this case, I just want to create database. I don't even need to create the user and give the privileges to that user. However, if you plan to install multiple websites on the same server, then you should probably do it like this, because root user has access to everything, and one website, if it's hacked, it might access to something else. Right? And in this case, like creating multiple users and multiple databases does make sense. But in our case, we have only one website on our server, and I'm going to just basically access to the server using root and just create one database. I'm going to open PowerShell and type sudo MySQL, and I'm going to specify right here password as well. We already have some root password, and I'm in the MySQL, and I'm going to run create database, and let's call this Laravel example. This is the very basic code to create Laravel example database, but we can specify character set as well. And I asked ChatGPT to create MySQL database, create database with the UTF-8 MB4 char set, and here's what it gave me. This is exactly what I wanted. Create database, the database name, and with the character set, the following thing. And it gave me all the explanation as well, what the character set is actually doing, and how you can also create new user and grant the privileges. I think it's amazing. Okay, I'm just going to copy this part because I already have this create database. Let's copy, open PowerShell, and I'm going to paste this right here and then hit the enter. Okay, the database was created Laravel example. And now whenever we install Laravel project, we can already access to the Laravel example database with the root user and the root password we gave. Now, let's clone the project and set up virtual hosts. Let's navigate into var www folder. Here on my GitHub repository, I have the most amazing Laravel project. Actually, it's the same Laravel project you can create on your own. I have only one commit right here. It's amazing. And I'm gonna just take the HTTPS URL of this following project and go in my PowerShell and just gonna run git clone and paste this URL. If you want to specify a different folder right here, we can just type Laravel example, maybe without dash. I want the folder without dash. So I'm going to hit enter right here. Oops, we don't have git installed. Let's clear up everything and I'm going to run sudo apt install git. Now let's rerun git clone, and here we go. It cloned the project in the var www folder. Now we need to install Composer. The best way to install the Composer is go to the getcomposer.org/download, and I'm going to grab the following code, go in the PowerShell and just paste it right here. And we hit the enter. It actually downloaded the Composer far locally, and it can be used in the following way, PHP Composer far. But if we want to make the Composer command globally available, we need to run the following command. We need to move this Composer far into user local bin Composer. So I'm going to grab that and paste this right here and hit the enter. Now, if I type Composer, I have the Composer command available. However, because I'm logged in with the root user, Composer does not actually recommend to run the Composer with the root user because Well, actually, if you have again multiple websites deployed on the same server and you use Composer with the root user, you will definitely have permission issues. Okay, but in this case, because we have only one project and we're gonna anyway change the permissions of this folder, I'm gonna allow this and type yes right here. Okay, and here's the Composer available. Now let's navigate into the folder we just cloned, Laravel example, and I'm gonna run Composer install. We have to type yes. And it downloaded all the dependencies of the project. Now we need to create .en file and configure the connection to the database. So inside the project folder, we have .env example. We need to copy, run cp, and copy this .env example into .env. Now let's clear up everything, and I'm going to use nano to open this env, and we need to find the db place, and we need to adjust right here the database as well as the username. The database, what we called, is Laravel _ example. I think this is what we called. If I make a mistake, I can fix that. The password of the root user is from 1 to 6. Now I can save this using Ctrl O, Ctrl X, and now let's try to apply migrations. If the connection to the database is made successfully, then the migrations will run. Otherwise, they will fail. PHP artisan migrate. Hit the enter. Okay, I think we missed one very important thing, which was not missed by ChatGPT. Look at this. ChatGPT recommended to install PHP MySQL, but I think we missed that. I personally missed that PHP MySQL extension, and that's why we don't have the driver to access to MySQL. So we need to run sudo apt install php-mysql and hit the enter. Now let's execute PHP artisan migrate. It tells us that the database Laravel example does not exist on the MySQL connection. Would you like to create it? Actually, I'm going to type no because I think I have created the database. I'm going to use that database. Let's clear up everything and try to access to the MySQL. And inside MySQL, I'm going to execute show databases. Okay, so my database name is without _ Laravel example. Let's exit from here, open .en file, adjust the database name, Ctrl O, Ctrl X, clear up, and rerun PHP artisan migrate. Now migrations were successfully applied. Now let's apply correct group, correct owner of the folder, as well as the correct permission to the folder, so that make sure that the Apache reads and writes the information from this Laravel example. Right now, if we just type ls-la, we see that the root is the owner of these files and folders. We need to change the owner as well as the permissions. So I'm going to just write sudo change group chgrp-r, which means recursively www data, and the folder name in this case will be var www laravel example. Hit the enter. Now if I type ls-la, I see that the group is www data. Let's clear up everything, and now I'm going to change the permissions by executing sudo chmod-r775, and then again we have to specify right here the folder name. In this case, we have to specify the storage folder name. So I'm going to type Laravel example storage. Hit the enter. So permissions on the storage have been set successfully. And now we need to create virtual config file. So for this, let's navigate into etc Apache 2 sites available folder, and right here I'm going to create virtual host config file. I'm going to execute sudo nano, let's call this Laravel example.net .conf. The .conf must be the extension of this configuration file. So here we have this empty file, and I'm going to actually copy and paste a few things and modify. I'm going to put the link of the following default config file in the video description and make sure it is available. If you don't find that, let me know in the comment section down below. Right here we have the server name, and the server name in our case will be Laravel example.net. We can leave the server admin as it is, it's dummy at the moment, and let's adjust the folder of our Laravel project, and that's going to be Laravel example/public. We have to do the same thing under directory tag, Laravel example. In this case, we just need a Laravel example, and I'm going to save this using Ctrl O, Ctrl X. And now we need to disable the default config, and that's going to be the 000 config. If we just type ls-la, we see right here 000 default config. So we have to disable this by executing sudo a2 this site 000 default. Hit the enter, and now we have to enable our config file, sudo a2 in site laravelexample.net.conf. So we have disabled the default, enabled our config file, and now let's make sure we have the rewrite module enabled by executing sudo a2 nmod rewrite. Let's hit the enter. Okay, rewrite has been enabled. And now the only thing is to restart Apache. Sudo service Apache to restart. Let's hit the enter. Now, let's check in our browser what happened. If we access our server using IP address, we see Laravel error. So this means that our application is actually successfully deployed. It has connection to the database, but we haven't set the encryption key yet. Let's say that I don't know how to run this command to set the encryption key. I'm going to open ChatGPT. I'm just going to paste the error and specify in Laravel. Let's hit the enter and wait what it does. Okay, here's what it gave us. Okay, again, it gives us like very, very comprehensive and overall information right here, but what we just need is PHP artisan key generate. However, it didn't mention that we have to specify right here --ANSI. I think it's not must, but it's something we should specify. So I'm going to open now PowerShell and just type PHP artisan key : generate --ANSI. Application key is set successfully. Now let's go in the browser, reload the page, and we see our Laravel application up and running. But we see this on our IP address. We have not mapped it to our domain yet. It's time to get the domain and connect the domain to the server. If you purchase the domain with the hostinger, stick with me. You have to claim your domain and configure and set up, and then we need to redirect it to our VPS. So I have the domain on hostinger. Actually, I'm going to claim my domain on hostinger, and let me actually search for Laravel example.net. I want the domain, so I'm going to choose .net right here and click check availability. Okay, so this is available, Laravel example.net. I'm going to claim this domain. Right here, I have to provide some details about me. This is necessary for the domain registration, and click the finish registration. It will take a couple of minutes until your domain is activated. As I see right now, the status of my domain is already active. In fact, let me actually grab the domain and open a new tab and paste there. And as we see, we have the domain already working, and that shows the hostinger's default page for the domain. Now, let's connect this domain to our server. Okay, if you grab the domain hostinger, stick with me, you just need to do the exact same thing what I'm going to do. If you have the domain somewhere else, you need to do something similar, but in your domain provider, okay? So here's my domain information. I'm going to click this DNS and name servers. I'm going to also open VPS server on a new tab right here, and I'm going to grab the server IP address, and I'm going to put this in the DNS. So here's my VPS server, laravelexample.com. This is the name I gave. So I'm going to copy this IP address. Now let's go in the DNS, scroll down below. We're going to add a record, and we're going to add CNAME record. So a record maps to the IP address, but there already exists a record which maps to a different IP, and because of this a record, when we type laravelexample.net in the browser, we see this hostinger page. So we're going to delete the following a record which goes on the following IP address. I'm going to click delete right here, and I'm going to also delete CNAME record, which is in www alias of laravelexample.net. In fact, we can actually leave this, but the main thing is that we need to map our domain to the different IP address. So right here we have this our VPS server. I'm going to grab the IP address of my VPS server, go in the DNS, and right here paste my IP address. So I'm creating an A type record. The name is @symbol, and then this points to the following IP. Click add record. This might be a valid IP address. I think I have white space in front of it, so I'm going to delete that and click add record. DNS record created successfully. Now let's grab the domain and open in the browser in a new tab and have a look. This still opens the hostinger default page. Probably this is a cache. Let's open in incognito, paste this, and hit the enter. And voila, we see our Laravel application. I'm going to check if the rewrite module works successfully in our Apache installation. For this, I'm going to open my project and create one additional route. I'm going to do this directly on my GitHub. I'm going to go under routes, web. I'm going to click edit right here. Let's scroll down below, and I'm going to add one additional route, which will be, for example, test. And that should return the exact same output. We just need to ensure that when we access test, it doesn't return not found, but actually returns the same type of welcome. Then I'm going to scroll down below, add test wrote will be a comment message, and click OK. Now let's open PowerShell, navigate into your project folder, and we have to pull the latest changes. And whenever you make some changes in your repository, you have to update that on your server as well, right? So you're going to run git pull origin main. Okay, here are the changes inside web PHP pulled. Now let's open Laravel example.net. When we open this, we see the welcome page, and now let's try to access test. Let's hit the enter. Okay, we don't see not found, which means our routing actually works. I'm going to install Node.js as well, because we have to run npm run build to use the Vite and to build the asset files, what is required by Laravel. Go to the website nodejs.org, click downloads in the menu. Let's scroll down below. We're going to find the link to our operating system, installing Node.js via package manager. Scroll down below and I'm going to find Ubuntu right here, Debian and Ubuntu based Linux distributions, and click on the following link, Node.js binary distributions. If you scroll down below, we're going to find this installation instructions section, and this is what we need to run. But let's run the latest LTS version, which is 18 point at the moment while I'm recording this tutorial. So I'm going to copy this part, open now my PowerShell, and paste the command and hit the enter. Okay, Node.js has been installed, and we are also in the Laravel example folder. So we just need to run npm install. Well, actually, this is a dummy project. It's like a welcome project, and this project doesn't use assets, but in a real project, your real project will probably use assets. That's why we have to run npm install and then npm run build. And this will build assets using Vite, and those assets will be used in your Laravel project. They are probably already used. Just make sure you install Node.js and then run npm install and npm run build. Okay, now we need to install SSL certificate. Now let's have a look at what ChatGPT gave us regarding installing SSL certificates. Here we have the following instructions, and in fact, this is actually correct. So first we need to install certbot and Python 3 certbot Apache package, and then we need to run certbot command with the Apache flag. I'm going to grab the first command first, and let's open now PowerShell and paste this right here and hit the enter. That was installed. Now let's run sudo certbot Apache. If you're running this very first time, you might need to provide right here an email address. Then you need to accept the terms. Then basically you need to choose if you want to subscribe to some kind of newsletter or not. Now it asks which name we would like to activate HTTPS for. I'm going to hit the enter because this means all. And now it's already requesting certificate for Laravel example.net. And right here we see congratulations, you have successfully enabled HTTPS on Laravel example.net. And the rest thing is to just grab, copy that, and open in the browser and check. We have our domain under SSL certificates up and running. We have routing activated successfully. If we make some changes in our repository, we know how to pull those changes on the server. And we also installed Node.js, and we run build using Vite all the asset files like JavaScript and CSS files. Our project is perfectly deployed on VPS server with custom domain and SSL certificates, and I think ChatGPT helped us a lot. Alright guys, that's it for this video, and thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If so, hit the like button. If you're interested to see more videos on this channel, hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comment section which topics you want to see on this channel. If you love my content and want to support the channel, check my website thecodeholic.com. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next time.